Welcome back to another Jazz breakdown. Played the Portland Trailblazers tonight. Some exciting things tonight.
Very exciting. Game number 20 on the season.
Yes.
And kind of it broke out earlier in the day that there was a good chance we were going to see Taylor Hendricks.
Yeah, Kelly Olynyk. So this morning, Kelly Olynyk was questionable, and Olynyk and Hendricks was scheduled to be playing in the G League game. All of a sudden, an hour before the G League game, Olynyk was out. Hendricks had been removed from the G League roster. And we saw him in the first quarter. Heavy minutes by Taylor Hendricks.
That was exciting. We've been talking about this for the last several shows, right? That he's working his way into the lineup.
We're going to see him, right? Be patient.
We're going to see him, and usually a first performance, on the first team, the player's jittery, right? You see kind of a few moments to where they're a little bit out of sorts, and you usually don't see anything other than maybe a couple little small signs. Well, we saw more than a couple little small signs.
Dude, defensively, this dude already could be elite.
Yeah, he's the way that he tracks down the floor. He had 2 blocks. I think he had a third one there was a foul called. So,
yes,
but his ability to track the ball, the athleticism to get there, very nice.
He has one where Shane Sharp, he's on him, and Sharp blows by him. He mistimes the jump, and like the step still has the athleticism to then recover and contest it to where Shane Sharp kind of fades away and misses it, throws it off the backboard, misses it. You could see there was moments of that jitter, young youthfulness, but the defensive side was awesome, and the three-pointer he hit.
He was only 1 of 4 for threes for the game, but that doesn't matter, right? He had 1 blocked, and Thibault was closing out like a stud. Got to give him his props there, but his 1 3-pointer he hit, the first thing I immediately yelled out was,
"That's the Ray Allen 3."
That's the Ray Allen 3 in the finals from several years ago against the Spurs, where he's backtracking quick, knows where to set his feet. Kind of, if you do that, you don't have the ability to lift really, and it kind of still raises. And man, that's hard to do.
Yeah, that's and have the awareness to stay on his toes. Because if he puts his heels down, he's out of bounds.
Right.
Stayed on both his toes. Pure. That's exciting.
The footwork, the awareness, the athleticism, and then still has the shooting ability to hit that. That's an insane shot.
And this is where it comes back to, right? His development he's getting in the G League, that's why he can come out and have a little bit more confidence, right? Now it's one of those things, as the season goes on, maybe Olynyk will miss a couple games. He'll get some minutes here, right now. But if not, he probably goes back to the G League, and then all of a sudden you've gotten a little bit of a taste of, oh, well, maybe we need to trade Kelly Olynyk because, right, to allow time to get Hendricks on the court about trade deadline time.
It helps you to evaluate a young player, to make as close of a guess as you can on their timeline, and to make decisions on your roster, right? At the minimum, you have to say that.
Yeah.
And so we know that we have another piece that's definitely playable and usable down the stretch. The amount of people that are saying, Hendricks doesn't even see in the court. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
He's a first-year player, and sometimes a little spell down in the G League. And the signs out of that youngster today were nice. And the way that he drove to the hoop, put up a shot, had a quick second jump. That's one of the things they measure. To tip it back in. Man, I'm excited. I'd love to see
good things.
I would love to see that kid getting some more time consistently as the year goes along. But we were asking about this day, and Sensabaugh has been doing some great things offensively as well. Down there with the SLC Stars, and be excited to see his trajectory as well during the year.
Yeah, for sure. Another exciting thing about this game, freaking Keontae George, man. He shot horribly from 3. That's fine, whatever. But he is already showing a very high level ability to get to the free throw line, to drive and draw. And that's what we talked about, right? The last game, he went like 4 for 19 or something from the field. There was a bunch of shots at the rim that he just timed wrong. He wasn't quite there on understanding where the pressure was going to be. Just one game forward, normally it's not that quick, but just one game forward, You didn't see any of that tonight. There was no question on he understood when to go up to draw the foul
Yep.
or to just take it strong and get the layup. These are the reasons why it's important for him to be able to do that, for him to have a 4 for 19 game so that he can then come back and bounce back and all of a sudden, oh wow, I understand, at this step where when I need to pass it off, when I need to just go strong or kind of athletically, it's huge growing points for him.
And it wasn't just on guards. I mean, the amount of times that he successfully challenged DeAndre Ayton at the rim
Yeah.
were impressive. So today he was 6 out of 10 from free throws, and so he drew 10 free throws at this time in his rookie year is
That
big
doesn't
time.
happen.
I mean, you look at the number one in the league is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai does just a little bit over 10 free throw makes a game.
Yeah.
And he shoots like 91% free throws. So that's like elite level. So if Keontae is already getting kind of some of the sniffs at that, I don't think there's anybody that doubts that his 3-point shot will come along.
Yeah.
It'll come, but his ability, in playoffs, some of the easy mid-rangers go away. Some of the 3-point shots go away that are open. The one thing that's real and keeps going is when you can draw fouls going to the hoop.
Yeah.
And that's a huge skill.
It's something you don't learn. It's rare for you to learn this early. Like Gordon Hayward, it took him years to get to that point as he was trajectorying into a star. It took Donovan years to really start getting consistent free throws and understanding, how to step through to draw them his way. For Keontae to be understanding that as a rookie in his 20th game.
And let's be honest, most players don't ever learn it.
No.
They don't ever learn it. So the ones that do, it usually takes them a long time. So that's a great skill and a great sign to be able to see that early.
Yeah.
Once again, the signs from that young man in another close game that goes into overtime that he can learn and kind of, see maybe a couple of those shots down through into overtime were a little bit quick or ill-advised or whatever. But the point is the teaching moments are there in another close game and an overtime game for him to learn from.
Yes.
That's what we need.
Yeah. Very good signs. And obviously it's better, right, when you get a win and you're happy with that. But the development that he was getting is so much more important.
Absolutely. And then we have to talk about year 7 and his 15 boards.
Rebounds. Wow.
He's a rebounding stud. We were talking and kind of going through first 3 quarters, thought that there were some times that he was a little bit, wasn't closing out good on his mark and wasn't, a little bit butterfingers, like you said, and just kind of kept battling and made some huge plays down the stretch.
Yeah.
That's a serviceable backup center in the league.
The rotation of him and Kessler is, as that grows, could be a legit freaking 1-2 punch at the 5.
Yep, that's been nice. Kessler had a strong game through. I don't think he missed a shot the entire game, and was affecting the rim. Got dunked on a couple times. Got the ego a little bit bruised. That play by Shaedon Sharpe was insane,
freakish.
Shaedon Sharpe is an insane athlete, and that was unreal. He kind of Sharpe got a little bit of the edge, and Kessler somewhat started to contend as he's backing up like he usually does, and Sharpe just rose up over and just did not obey the laws of gravity during that moment. It was insane. And then the next one was a player breakdown, and Kamara got in there and made a dunk on him. So a couple of little bruises to the ego for Kessler, but he's the type that always comes back next play and doesn't even care. So
no, for sure. What's funny is that was kind of something I wanted to mention too is, so you mentioned player breakdown. So on the Kamara dunk, Agbaji got kind of turned around and confused defensively, and that dunk ends up happening.
Yep.
He immediately gets pulled.
Immediately he gets subbed out, even though he'd been defensively strong like he was, most every game. Shot well. I don't even think he took a 3 tonight.
No, he was 3 for 4 from the field.
Yep.
But no threes. Moved the ball, played really good defense all game, and that's where it I've mentioned to you several times, it feels weird on the accountability that he holds for some players, right? One mistake by Agbaji gets pulled.
Yep.
But you'll watch several, players go and do kind of whatever they want. And and not have anything happen. So there seems to be, Fontecchio is another guy. He'll make like one mistake and he'll get pulled super quick.
And that sub they brought in Sexton was a little odd.
Brought him in for
Yeah,
defense.
you brought it up. It then moved Keontae to guarding Shaden Sharp because Sexton was in matched up with Brogdon and Sharp was hot and he was hit another three at that point and was playing well. So that was puzzling too.
It makes us it made us small by bringing in Sexton, and then there was a few times Sexton was switched on to Shaden Sharp, and Shaden Sharp just got wide open threes because Sexton doesn't have the size and athleticism to close out and really contest those the way that someone with Agbaji's athleticism does. But then we kind of brought him back in on offense. It was weird, super weird substitution down the stretch.
Yep.
And that's the thing is Sexton played a great game in
his
a
role.
6-man
Very
role,
good.
right? In a 6-man role, played a great game. But then we left him out there for too long, and those other things start to kind of creep in, and that's understanding how to control that as a coach. You have to be able to learn how to rein that in as a coach,
Yep.
Which is why a sub like that at the end of the game can hurt you so badly. And for example, our last shot of the game before overtime, we end up getting, he catches the ball, doesn't even consider looking for anything that's not his own shot, head down, throws it up, 1-on-5, gets blocked. And so those are things as a young coach he's going to have to learn and understand that and it's hard. It's hard to look at a guy who has 20-something points off your bench and not think, hey, you should be on the court right now. A personnel thing, an understanding thing that, and Sexton came in and it was 3 straight possessions, like 3 straight turnovers.
yeah, they immediately went on a run. So it was one of those that didn't really pay off. Maybe it's more of a situation where if he's already in the game and he's hot, you leave him, right?
Yeah.
But if he's off
to
the
sub
court,
him out and then back in.
That was interesting how that worked. You'll have to see how it goes as the year goes along. I definitely think that Sexton is growing into the role for the 6-man scorer, the best on our team right now.
I was blown away the past few games how well we've given him more control as a 6-man. We're not putting the ball in Tucker's hands, honestly, as often when they're running the court together. And in those moments, Sexton has shown that ability we were hoping he could have.
Yep.
The end of last year and things like that. Last year as a whole and stuff like that. So I had a lot of question marks on if he could be that real 6-man scorer role. And the last, several games, I have been pleasantly surprised to be wrong on that.
And if I were front office, I would push to have him in that role. I think that the contract is right. It's the right length to have him around and keep him.
And he's such a good energy guy. He's not someone who's just going to come in and score, right? He's such a good energy guy. He will consistently go after rebounds and things like that. And so that type of controlled energy, fantastic for your team.
Yep, that's very good. Another good contest as far as a strong defender to be on Keontae. Malcolm Brogdon is a legit defensive guard, and they also had Kamara on him too.
Just rotating those two guys, which is
that's they're going to make you work for it, man. There's no question. We ended up with, I think I said 65 rebounds,
something like 64, 65,
an insane amount. 17 turnovers. Those are some of the areas that plague us, but the rebounding side, we definitely do well. It's been interesting to see the stretch of games without some of our starters and some of the players that get more touches, just to allow us really to see what we have, kind of.
Yeah, even I love marketing, but for him to have been out and allow Fontecchio to kind of blossom, those are things that are going to be huge later on as a backup 3 for us.
Yeah, and front office better look at extending that guy. I don't really want him to hit the open market.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's he's an expiring contract, and if you followed Fontecchio's career, for several years he's been a prolific scorer in Europe.
Yeah,
and one of Italy's number 1 options, and so he had that talent already in his bag. Just kind of it took a year to acclimate to the NBA game, to get used to moving your family somewhere, and
for sure,
and dealing with all that crap. And so his offensive game is emerging, and we knew he had it because we watched a lot of his highlights. But man, oh man, that defensive side came out of nowhere.
I did not expect, and holy shit.
Came out of nowhere, y'all. I mean, he's stout, he's strong, right? And he's fast. The amount of times that he's driving to the hoop now as well, and showing physicality, knocking people off and kind of crossed and finishing. Didn't see that at that high of a level.
Honestly, right now, when Fontecchio and Agbaji are on the court together, holy crap, their guards, their wings struggle.
Did you see their wings shrink for 3/4 of this game?
Shaedon Sharpe and freaking Jeremy Grant, who were arguably the two best players on their team at the time for scoring, at least offensively, both just 90% of this game were non-existent.
Yep.
And then we knocked out Jeremy Grant.
And then he got smacked in the face. Hope everything's all right there. But then Shaedon Sharpe was able to kind of get loose end of the game. But to have those two, like we said in the last broadcast, super strong 3-and-D players
that can be effective without touching the ball. This is a game that Agbaji took 4 shots. Fontecchio, I think 2 for 7. He's been a really big scorer for us since he's come in the starting lineup. He did not really get that going tonight, but both of them were felt super heavily on the court, and Taylor Hendricks as well. So you start to run lineups with Hendricks, Fontecchio, and Agbaji, who are guys that will not great defenders, but on top of being great defenders, workhorses and just keep plays alive. They will bring energy. They go for loose balls. Man,
they stretch the court. That is a luxury. There's something we brought up last broadcast as well. That is a luxury. Most teams don't have that. Most teams, even the ones that have these superstars, are searching and scraping to find partial versions of that. They're trying to pay money to Max Strus to come in and fill that 3-guard role, and shoot, but not really any defense. They're playing Denny Osmond during playoff stretches because they can't play Isaac Okoro during that, Or, goodness, even the Milwaukee Bucks, if Ochai Agbaji was playing for the Bucks, he'd start at their 2 right now,
and would maybe score 5 points a game.
And their defensive numbers would be up, and they would be awesome.
Yes, exactly.
It would be incredible.
And every once in a while, would have a game he'd score maybe 12, 15 points because he just hit a few threes. Like having several of those guys on your team to allow the other guys like Keontae, Sexton off the bench, Lowry Market, and John Collins, who we haven't even talked about, who had a very strong game.
He did.
Allowing those guys to be really involved offensively, and it gives you guys who can kind of cover for certain aspects of games defensively. They're not having to work as hard because they're not having to guard the best guys defensively. Those are huge things.
Absolutely huge. And so you look at our roster. I don't know if we want to play this game right now. We have to, though, because I'm doing it.
How much time you guys got?
So with all these 3-and-D guys and an incredible defensive center in Kessler, and assuming you're 7-6 around, so we have versions of star level in Markkanen for sure. I think that he's a very strong number 2 guy on a championship level team.
Yeah, I agree.
Keontae, does he get up to that level or surpass it, or maybe say that he's a number 3 version of himself once he gets a couple years going? With some of these pieces, can you say that here 2-3 years from now we are a strong number 1 superstar from being a contender?
Right. Yeah.
Is that possible? Because we seem to have a lot of the pieces of the 3-and-D, of the support guys, not every piece, but just kind of pointing out what we have that other teams don't. But we seem to be a strong number 1 NBA superstar away from maybe being in the conversation.
Which truthfully is why you need a heavy usage and heavy dose of Keontae George to find out, can he go here? Or can he go here? Can he take that Devin Booker elite step in the next year or two and make that kind of step? And if he can, holy crap, our team is freaking built to make a championship run. But if he can't, you know it way sooner.
Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. So, as you kind of look at some of the pieces, then we're talking about we have a chance to get a parade during Markkanen's tenure here.
Yep, and that's the thing, right? You learn that superstar. If even if that's someone you bring in as another guard next to Keontae, and
Mhm.
Agbaji ends up being a stud defensive energy guy off the bench, or you end up moving on from John Collins and bringing a guy there. But it gives you the options, and it's something you have to learn right now with certain players with their development.
Right. Find out what level they're at as the team grows and as we get stronger each year. We'll kind of make those next steps. You can kind of see with Minnesota and OKC, they're really strong in the West this year, making those next steps, kind of
Yep.
getting near right the contention level. You can kind of see for Oklahoma City that Josh Giddey really isn't closing out games anymore with them.
Right.
He still has some decent numbers and does some great things, but they're kind of closing with a different rotation and those are kind of some of the things you find out as you go along, even though he's a very strong player. But these next couple of years are going to be fun and nights like tonight, man, they're a freaking blast for me to watch the young players and see where they go. And whether we win or not, basically it's the signs and being able to project their value that's super fun for me.
The just each game, the different aspects of Keontae George's game that has grown has been fun. And it makes it fun as a Jazz fan to start speculating, like, man, can he hit that Devin Booker kind of special all-star, all-NBA type player? You start to have fun with these things, and that's what this season's about.
Right. So right now we are in 12th place in the West, 7-13 through our first 20 games.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. You kind of judge it by these 10 games or 20 game stretches. But man, I'm excited if we can especially get Taylor Hendricks in and playing more consistently. Who knows what happens between now and the trade deadline, but man, the ups and downs of this first 20 were very dramatic.
Yeah, I've been all over the place motion wise with our coach and our team, dude, man.
So
it's like somebody mentioned, in the comments, you guys were happy when Danny Ainge blew up. The stuff, and you trusted Larry Markkinen, you don't trust Danny Ainge, and I do, and truthfully, there's moments where I'm just being freaking impatient, and,
for sure,
and that's fine,
for sure.
I'm willing to admit that there's times where it's just like I want it now. But,
that's right,
but that's human,
right, and that's the part of being a fan. That's the fan side. We're definitely more of a fan, less. We're not professional analyzers and all that crap that goes on, but. But that's the fun side of being a fan for me, to be able to sit there and yell at the TV and have fun with it, but still kind of follow it from a fan side. So
yeah, I'm kind of like, I hope, and it's a terrible thing to say, but I hope that Olynyk maybe has to miss a couple games to allow Taylor Hendricks to get some time,
right,
and see what we have there. And I'm excited for the next few games. These have been fun games to watch. These past few games, as we've gotten to see our young players really get a chance to blossom.
Absolutely, and I think we go down to Dallas next, right?
Yep, Wednesday. I think we have a big break, don't we?
Yeah, have a few days. And Dallas put on a crazy offensive show down the stretch tonight.
30-0 run. If you haven't checked that out, they were down 87-111 to the Thunder to go on a 30-0 run in the fourth to take the lead.
Against OKC. That's
wild.
Pretty tough. That's pretty tough. So who knows? Maybe run into a buzzsaw and we'll have the the Luka and the Kyrie show down there. But
and I'll be back cussing everyone out on Wednesday, ready to blow it all up.
The other side of the roller coaster.
But overall, we still having fun with you guys in the comments, and just having those conversations with you guys has been super fun. Keep that up. Snow's finally starting to hit in Utah. There's been a lot of crashes in Sardine Canyon, so be safe. It's the season, and if you've been in Utah for a while, you know how the driving gets when the snow falls.
Right, it's the second season in Utah, right? They say there's construction and winter. Those are the two Utah seasons. Yeah.
So be careful while you're out there. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight as well. This was fun.
Enjoying it.
Thanks, guys.